this is the Honourable Andrew O'Donnell's inaugural speech, and the usual conventions and courtesies of the House apply. The Honourable Andrew O'Donnell.
President, I want to start by acknowledging that we meet here on the lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I want to pay my respects to the traditional owners and their elders past, present and emerging. I'm humbled by the opportunity to be in this place like only so few people before me. I find it difficult to get my head around being included amongst such a number, but I'll do my best to do it justice. A good friend of mine, who's actually in the gallery, gave me some advice when I was putting my speech together. Knowing me fairly well, and that I loathe to speak about myself, he offered this. Andy, this is the one and only time in your parliamentary career that people want to hear you talk about yourself, so you better do it. Through my working career, I didn't really set out to hold public office. More than anything, I think that the people that influenced me along the way set me along this path. I worked hard, I tried to make a difference where I could, and most of all, I've tried to help people when they needed it. So to understand me, you really need to know about how I grew up and some of the people that have influenced me and inspired me along the way. Growing up, it was just my mum Christine, my brother Ben and myself. We didn't always have it easy, but it certainly wasn't as hard as some other people have it. We always had each other. My mum worked really hard to support us, but it's only looking back now as an adult that I can really tell how much she gave up and how much she sacrificed for us kids. When my parents separated, my mum had the challenge of re-entering the workforce after a significant period at home with kids. I never fully knew it at the time, but we lived week to week. I went to a private school and I knew that it was a struggle for mum to cover it. On the weeks she could afford it, I'd take a $50 note in an envelope to the school office, and on the weeks she couldn't, she would work out where it would come from the next week so she could catch up. My mum always found time to do her bit for the community. When my junior baseball club didn't have a coach for our team, she put her hand up. The next year, when the committee didn't have anyone to run the club, she put her hand up. And she also found a couple of other mums to help do it. She's always been one to give back. In amongst this, through about 15 years or so of hard work and perseverance, my mum built the solid foundations of a business which now thrives under my brother Ben. Ben's always been reliable and he takes care of the family. These days, my mum's taken a step back and she's now president of the Tumbiumbi branch of New South Wales Labor. And all I'll say to the opposition on that is this: she's pretty motivated and she's got a lot more free time on her hands, so you should tell your mates to watch out. My mum's story is one of hard work, perseverance and community service. These were all important lessons for me. One of the biggest influences on my life is someone who departed from it far too long ago, my pa, Frank O'Donnell. He influenced me in many ways like a father. In fact, so much so that after I became an adult and he got sick, I changed my last name to share his. After a difficult start to life in a boys' home during the Second World War, Frank O'Donnell did everything he could to give his family a comfortable life. He built a life for his family, working on the docks in Sydney from the time he was 21 in 1954. He was a proud member of the Waterside Workers' Federation, working on the docks until his retirement in 1991. He taught me the value of hard work and the difference between something you want and something you need. He taught me many life skills like basic carpentry, general handyman skills and gardening, which are still useful, except for the gardening. I don't think that one really stuck as much as I would have liked it to. Most of all in our talks as I was growing up, he would challenge my beliefs on everything. He would rarely tell me I was wrong or tell me what his view was, but he would always challenge me to defend my position. He wanted me to justify why I felt a certain way, why I thought that way. even when I was right, or perhaps to highlight that maybe I wasn't. This was incredibly frustrating, but they're some of my most cherished memories looking back. My nan, Suzanne O'Donnell, was just as impactful on me, and thankfully I got to spend longer with her. Those who know me know that I love home life. I love spending time with my family. I love to cook, to play games, and to make them happy. This is the influence of my nan. She was selfless and warm, and for her, there was nothing more important than family. Now I suppose I should probably talk about myself. Looking back, I first got involved in politics during the 1995 New South Wales election. I was in Year 4 and I was 9 years old. I was sitting in the playground, dutifully eating my lunch with some classmates. I'm really not sure what sparked the conversation, but I do remember making some impassioned remarks, definitely far too much so for school lunchtime. In any case, they proved persuasive because they did lead to a rousing chant of "Bob Carr, Bob Carr, Bob Carr." My journey into the Labor Party and progressive politics did not feel like a fait accompli, though in hindsight, perhaps I was here all along. I felt no end of joy when in February this year, my own son Liam, who is 9 years old and in Year 4, came home and told me about a civics class that day. He said that his class was learning about elections and that they had gone around the room saying who was a person they would vote for. Some kids nominated other friends in the class, others Spider-Man. When it came around to Liam, he said, "My dad," as my proudest moment ever. In my schooling, I excelled when I tried, but I never really found my footing until university. I didn't know what I was looking for when I arrived, so I picked subjects in philosophy, ancient history and politics. They all seemed fun. What I found was a lifelong love of politics, its history, and of contesting ideas. I'm not sure that my work ethic improved, but my love of the coursework certainly motivated me. I quickly found that the structure of university suited me far more than school ever had. And of course, I got to argue with people a couple of times a week. It was pretty great. I can't say I was the first in my family to go to university. I was the second. But as I will remind my brother for the rest of our lives, and in future now refer to Hansard, I was the first to graduate. While I was at university, I worked at Woolworths, where I met my amazing wife, Steph. In 2010, my then girlfriend, Steph, moved to Perth for a year for work. We did long distance that year. We talked every day, and we were both on a plane very often. At the start of 2011, I joined Steph in Perth, originally just for a little while we looked for jobs on the East Coast. When we moved, we were only planning to stay for a year or two. We never really made a decision to stay. We always just put off leaving because we liked it here and we had an ever-growing life. We now have 2 beautiful children and Perth is their home and it's our community. We've built our lives and careers here. We cheer on the Scorchers every summer. We love a Conti roll and terms like the Eastern States roll off the tongue naturally. When I moved to Perth, I really started to think about my career for the first time. I did some volunteer and casual work with the Red Cross in tenancy support and homelessness prevention, and it was incredibly rewarding. Before long, though, I was connected with someone that I would later work for, and it altered the course of my career. I had a coffee with Gary Gray at WA Labor's State Conference in 2011, and then started working for him a couple of months later. Since then, in one capacity or another, I've undertaken an apprenticeship in politics. It's brutal at times, but it's always fulfilling. I've had extraordinary experiences with each member that I've had the fortune of working with and learning from. In my time working for Gary Gray, I learnt the fine art of political campaigning. Gary is an extremely warm and a fiercely loyal person. I was a very green staffer and he was very generous with his time and his experience. I learnt many skills in the 5 years I worked for Gary that have served me well since. I didn't work for Madeline King for nearly as long, though I'm just as grateful to her. Simply put, Madeline taught me to relax and chill out a bit. She taught me that a relaxed workplace could be a productive workplace. Then came David Michael. For the past 8 years, I've worked for the member for Balcatta, and the year before that, I ran his campaign. I actually didn't know David very well back then. His partner, Linda Ashalem, asked me to do it, and anyone that knows Linda knows it's hard to say no to Linda. I quickly realised that I liked David, and we formed a great team, including the amazing Magenta Marshall, now the member for Rockingham. The election went well, and I took David up on his offer to work in the office. In part, I wanted to take a step back in my career so I could stop going to Canberra, be closer to home, and be around for my family some more. There's one thing I learnt from David that quite frankly changed me. If he sees a problem, he has this insatiable need, it's almost a compulsion to fix it. It's one of the things that's driven him in politics, and it's something that caught on with me. It's also one of the things that makes him an extraordinary local member, something the electorate seems to agree with me on. Working in the office with David, Magenta, and later Ben Coates as well, remains professionally one of the best times of my life. They say a week is a long time in politics. Well, after 15 years, I suppose I know where my hairline has gone. There's one other pivotal event which has helped shape my outlook on life, which happened a little over 10 years ago. Steph and I were visiting our family in New South Wales, and life changed in an instant with a car crash. A drug-affected driver going the wrong direction down a freeway drove head-on into our car. In a moment, my wife, my brother, my mother, and myself nearly died. Thankfully, in large part due to the rescue team airlifting my mum to hospital for emergency surgery, the 4 of us all survived. On that night, I broke my neck and my spine in a dozen places, and as you can imagine, a bunch of other things. I spent the following 2 weeks in hospital, and it's all a bit of a blur. But there was a moment when my orthopaedic surgeon was about to take me in for surgery. And I remember him sitting there with his face in his hands, apologising for what he had to do to me. And that moment has stuck with me ever since. I laughed at him. Maybe it was the painkillers, but I actually found it really funny. He looked at me puzzled, and I said, "You've got to be kidding. I'm laying here with a broken neck, but at the end of this, I'll get to walk out of here. I'm the lucky one." And while that night has left me with plenty of scars, some visible and some not, that moment gave me a new and improved perspective on life, and I'm thankful for every day that I've had since. When I reflect on my life to now and the things that have steered me and enabled me to get here, I have a lot to be grateful for, and I'm grateful to the people that have been with me on the journey and the lessons that I've learned, and I'm grateful to the Labor movement and for the progressive policies they implemented that helped me do it. A HECS loan enabled me to study at university. I never would have been able to have the opportunity to further my studies if I had to pay up front. I never would have had the opportunities and experiences that my degrees opened up for me. When opportunity is limited, people are held back from their potential, and when opportunity is limited, our society suffers. I've been lucky. The lessons I learnt and my hard work paid off. Not everyone is rewarded as I've been for their hard work. We owe it to the next generation to make sure that upward social mobility is not just possible, but it's easier with every generation. I passionately believe that the circumstances you're born into should not predetermine the circumstances of your life. I'm proud to be here as part of the Labor movement. I've seen firsthand the exploitation of vulnerable workers. I had friends who were given no choice but to sign an Australian workplace agreement brought in under John Howard's work choices under the guise of adding flexibility to the industrial relations system. I watched as people I knew, young workers and students with no bargaining power, were given AWAs eroding their rights and conditions. They all knew they had no choice. If they didn't sign, they'd be sacked. The Labor movement was there for them. The ACTU ran a relentless campaign and a Labor government removed work choices and AWAs. I've thankfully never needed my union to fight for my rights, but I'm thankful for all the things the union movement has already fought for and won for all of us. It's worth reflecting on some of these because they're hard-fought gains and we all benefit from the outcomes. The 8-hour workday, paid holidays, sick leave, equal pay for women, long service leave and superannuation, to name a few, are all union movement-led gains. When someone asks me why I'm a union member, that's my answer. At heart, I'm a pragmatist and I'm a consensus builder. I want good government to make good progressive reforms to make people's lives better. There's a time for grandstanding to achieve a result, but unfortunately, in the theatre that's politics, the politics of grandstanding is all too attractive for some. The new makeup of this chamber is diverse and reflects the diversity of the desire for representation from the electorate. While there's many diverse views in this chamber, I genuinely believe that everyone here has come because they want to make WA a better place. The challenge in the cut and thrust of politics is ensuring that we all here remember what we're here for. We're here for people, for our community. Echoing the sentiments of the Governor this morning, trust is earned. The right to govern is earned. This is where I think Labor governments shine. Labor governments are best when they meet people where they are and have a real conversation about what will make their life better. It's Labor governments which make lasting changes, which restructure our society, that level the playing field. It's Labor governments that deliver real change, that can give another child better education, another family a home, or improve our health services. I'm proud to take this opportunity to be a part of that legacy. Ultimately, the values that my dear family and friends all taught me through my life, hard work and resilience, of community service, and that compulsion to help solve problems got me. That's why I decided to seek out this place. I decided that I could not leave it to someone else when I had a contribution to make. Now for some acknowledgements, because none of us who are here got here on our own. We all had help, support and encouragement, and I've had plenty. First, I want to thank the people of Western Australia and the West Australian Labor Party for placing their trust in me. I especially want to thank the thousands of volunteers that went door to door, having real conversations about how a Cook Labor government could make a difference for them. The list of people I have to thank is far too long for the remainder of my time here today. There are certainly dozens of people that deserve a mention. Many are here today in the gallery, watching online. Some managed to get across after question time in the other place. I'll reserve my time, though, for just a handful. There are a lot of new members in this chamber, and that means a lot of people who vacated their seats. I want to acknowledge each of them for their service to Western Australia. Regardless of party colours, everyone came to this place wanting to make a difference for their community. I do want to take a moment to recognise Martin Pritchard on his first day once again as a private citizen. Martin has never sought the spotlight and he's always been a loyal servant of our Labor family. He's always put working people, the Labor movement and the Labor Party before himself. He's lived a life of Labor values, first as a unionist with the SDA and then as a parliamentarian. Thank you, Martin. Tim Dawson, Brad Gandy and Mick Buchan, You have all been a tremendous support to me over the past couple of years. Each of you have at different times and in different ways encouraged and supported me. I really appreciate it. I would like to thank Dom Rose for our semi-frequent arguments, but also because of the mutual respect we've built over the years, which helps us find common ground. I can't go any further without recognising Lenda Sharlam. When I met Lenda, she joined the WA Labor team and she made a contribution to our party that very few can match. Despite being employed outside the movement for a fair while now, she always finds a way to contribute. To some, she's a campaign director, to some, she's a mentor. These days, to me, she's a friend. Lenda has always been there for me when I need advice, and unfortunately, as the case is a little more often, when I need some unsolicited advice. But I'm better for it. Ben Harris. We grabbed a coffee 5 years ago and we talked about making things better. I'm not sure in hindsight whether we were two slightly younger idealists talking about what could be, but a lot more coffee, a presentation over lunch, and an awful lot of hard work in the years in between, and I'd say we had an impact in that time. What I didn't realise at that time, though, was that I'd also gained a friend. We've been through a lot together, and I don't think I would have come on this journey had it not been for you. And I definitely could not have come without your support and without the support of the SDA. Another friend I gained along the way, who will get one more mention, is David Michael. When I was first introduced to the member for Balcatta, he was reluctant to even send me an InDesign file. Over the last 9 years, we've spent a fair bit of time together and he's become one of my best friends. He's genuine, supportive to those around him, and he shares my love of spreadsheets. My children, Liam and Erin, they're here today in the gallery. The most rewarding experience of my life has been being a part of you growing up. Liam, you're amazing, capable and inquisitive. Erin, you are fantastic, creative, funny and strong-willed. I'm incredibly proud of the kind and compassionate people you are growing into. I hope that when you're older, you are able to look back with pride on what I do with my time here. And I hope that I'm able to teach you some of those important lessons that were given to me. Finally, Steph, my darling wife, words really are inadequate to express how much I love and adore you. I try to show you each and every day how much you mean to me. We've been through a lot together, and you're my partner in life in every way. We both have our shortcomings, but we fit together perfectly. I love you, and thank you for taking this walk through life with me. President, serving in this place is a privilege and an honour. I take on the task with humility, enthusiasm, and a great deal of excitement. Thank you. Thank you, mate.